What's up? So I came across this video today, and or actually, I came across it yesterday while I was streaming. And was it yesterday? What's today? Today's Sunday. It was Friday. No, it was Friday, and they showed it back up in my recommendations. And I was like, all right, let me watch this video because it was death matching is useful. You just use it wrong. That's the name of the video, right? And I didn't watch it on stream because I didn't want to have a visceral reaction because the thumbnail was showing like playing music on your headphones, and I was just like, don't tell me that he's about to tell people to play deathmatch with sound off, and that's the way you're supposed to do it. Because I hear so many people say that, and I see so many people complaining about people that use sound in deathmatch, and I'm like, if you're using deathmatch to practice gunfighting, right? And you get into situations where you're maybe two people peek you at the same time or something like that. You fight differently when there's somebody walking up behind you than if you had no sound at all. So one day I really tried. Like I legitimately tried to play deathmatch with my sound off, right? And I'm like, this is stupid, all right? Because like there's times where I'll get attacked from behind with sound on, and there's nothing I can really do about it because two people are running at you at the same time, right? You might be sitting in a corner, but the only reason that you're sitting in a corner is because somebody is running behind you. You went to go hit them, and then somebody else is running at you because they hear each other's footsteps. So you're stuck in the middle, and you're trying to figure out who's gonna reach you first. That's the only reason why you get stuck in a corner, and people are like, "Oh, why are you camping in the corner?" And I'm just like, nobody was camping in the corner. Y'all, two people were coming at me at the same time. What else was I supposed to do? Swing one of them and get shot in the back and lose the gunfight with the other guy? Like what do you expect? Sound is just way too important in Valorant to just not use sound. That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's like a coping thing. To be honest, the other thing that doesn't make any sense along with that is that uh oh, and you shouldn't shift walk, right? You shouldn't shift walk. And I'm like, that's so backwards because if you shouldn't shift walk, right? But you don't want people to use sound, then why not use shift walking? Then nobody can hear you coming. But the people who are shift walk, like if you're shift walking and somebody knows that you were shift walking around the corner, then that means they're using sound too. Like it doesn't make any sense. But let's watch this video real quick. This video is from RoyalG. This is the guy that went to Immortal with Classic, right? I'm pretty sure that's the guy. But let's watch this. Let's watch this video and see what he has to say about death matching. Only about 0.0000003% of all YouTube users is subscribed to my channel. Let's change that. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more of my content. Enjoy the video.
Deathmatching. Some people say it doesn't help you improve, while other people are grinding it 24/7 like it's the magic solution. And at the same time, some people avoid it only because they keep getting shot in the back. Me personally,
I wouldn't take this level of
I think deathmatching is very useful. So what's in it for you? Well, you're probably deathmatching wrong. And in this video, I'll explain why.
How are
What's
we
up, guys?
deathmatching wrong?
I'm RoyalG, a Radiant player and coach who likes teaching players about less obvious
Please
insights into
please
fundamental
don't say turn your sound
Deathmatching
off.
is something I see too much bad advice on, so I'm going to tell you 4 mistakes that you need to fix in order to make deathmatches an efficient practice tool. If this helps, make sure to share it to others. Let's head into it. So the first mistake that I see so many players make stems from a reaction to a common pain point of deathmatching, which is sound whoring. I think everyone mutually hates that one guy who sits in a corner and has volume on max.
And I already said why you sit in the corner. The reasons why people usually sit in the corner. Not for this reason. This guy here might be sitting in the corner just because. But he probably heard you running. Like maybe he just came in there, right? Because the spawns are so stupid in deathmatch, right? So he probably heard you come in there, right? He heard he ran in there first, and then he heard your footsteps, right? So he went over here, stood in the corner, and waited for you to come around the corner because you were running. So why would he not wait around the corner, right? Like why would he not?
max so that he can shoot people running by him. And because everyone hates that guy and people get so...
But wouldn't you do? You would do the same thing. You would literally do the same thing if somebody did that in a real game, right? So, but in a real game, nobody's gonna run around the corner like that. Nobody's just running up doing that. Maybe they might run up to the entrance of hookah, right? They might run up to the entrance of hookah and then like slowly peek, you know, into hookah, and then maybe like use util, because we don't have any util here. So the only utility technically we have is cutting sound. The best thing for you to do is to walk, right? Is to walk, because running just gives up your position. So if you're W keying around the map and you're getting shot in the back, or you're W keying around the map and somebody's waiting for you around the corner, no wonder somebody is waiting for you around the corner, because they heard your footsteps. And then the person who gets shot from running, they're like, oh my God, this guy's using sound. Well, why are you giving him the information? You know everybody in a deathmatch is not playing with their sound off. But the way you can control your sound is by walking. But then when I shift walk in matches, when I shift walk in DMs, people are in my chat talking about you need to stop shift walking in DM. Or you need to turn off your sound in DM. You're not using DM right. Y'all are crazy. There's something wrong with y'all. I don't know who started this or who heard this, and people putting out this information.
Frustrated about it, people have sort of mistakenly assumed that using sound is just bad overall.
Thank you.
But it really isn't. It's
Thank
just
you.
That you can use it in a cheesy way that wastes everyone's time, including...
Just like how it feels bad, right? Is people using ops and Odins and stuff in DM, right? People that use Odins in DM, it's just like, are you playing to actually practice, or are you just playing to just run around and shoot people? And if that's the case, why play Valorant in deathmatch with an Odin? Like, there's nothing that you get out of it. Like, maybe you're practicing the Odin, but like, why do you really need to practice the Odin? You ADS, you crouch, and then you spray. Like, that's it. And if you're gonna practice op, use Marshall, because you get more benefit out of it. But you know, people are just like, I'm just gonna practice op, and then multiple people start picking ops, and then it's like op DM, and it's just like, all right, I'm out. So I stopped caring. I just still, if I do DM, I just run around and who cares? I still shift walk. I still, you know, play my angles and try to not get shot in the back. Try to, you know, get my multi kills and you know, change positions and you know, like, try to figure out where people are coming from and play positioning based on, you know, what I can hear, because that's what you do, and that's the type of situations that you're going to be in real matches.
Including your own. I guess what I'm trying to say here is you don't have to be that guy even if you're using sound to deathmatch. In fact, you shouldn't deathmatch with sound off at all. Let me explain. Sound is a very important aspect of Valorant, and sound
things that I've been
conveys
saying.
a lot of information, such as the enemy's location, how they might swing, and in gunfights, whether they're baiting your shot, committing, or even recovering from recoil. If you don't have this type of information heading into a fight, it fundamentally alters your approach, which is to say, if you have sound off, you play deathmatch very differently from if you had sound on. That means the way you swing things change, as well as the way you place your crosshair on some angles, the way you adjust mid-duel, and unless you're practicing for when Fade ults your sight, you pretty much never play Valorant with sound off anyways. So having sound off prevents you from abusing sound and camping sound, but also puts you in an environment that's more unrealistic and overall wastes your time just as much as camping a corner. That's why having sound on is something I always tell my coaching students when talking about DMing, because at some point, our community decided that having sound off was the way to go. And as a small shameless plug, I coach on Medify and sometimes stream live coaching on my Twitch, so if you're interested in that, you're always welcome to
I'm
click
glad
the
he
link
put
in the
this video
description
out.
and come say hi.
I don't...
Do you want to reach your rank goals this act? Or maybe you just want to find the right place? More. Every single month, Gosu Academy.
So let me ask, if you want to work on your
This was 3 days ago. He put this out 3 days ago.
and spray discipline,
This was literally, what? Yeah, if he put it out on Friday.
what
Oh
should
my
you do?
God. So good. I'm glad he put it
If you
I'm glad he
said
put this
use a
out.
sheriff or guardian only, then unfortunately you're wrong. And to explain why this is the wrong approach, let me explain first how first bullet accuracy is actually built. First bullet accuracy in most cases isn't about mechanical aim, but mental aim. It's not hard to mechanically adjust to a target's head, but it's way harder to mentally confirm that your crosshair is on top of that head. So in order to improve your first bullet accuracy, you need to be faster with confirming the shot while also minimizing your hesitation. The confirmation is focus, and the hesitation stems from discipline. But at the same time, your focus also relies on discipline because hesitation will ruin your focus. What I'm basically saying is, your focus and discipline play a much larger role when it comes to practicing first bullet accuracy, with discipline at its core. So how does this apply to using sheriffs and guardians? Well, sheriffs and guardians may help you with focus, but it won't help your discipline. In fact, it can even make it worse. Discipline isn't avoiding the temptation, but facing it and still being untempted. If that confused you, then let me give you an analogy I like to use.
So is he about to say that, like, I'm not sure, but I would assume that if you're using a vandal or something, like if you're using a vandal in DM, which is what I do now, you want to avoid spraying. Like, your discipline is to avoid spraying a target and just trying to hit the first bullet on the head, or 'cause sometimes I shoot 2 bullets or 2 or 3 bullets, but like I try to land on their head with the vandal first shot rather than firing my gun and just using the fact that I can spray and use a whole bunch of bullets to try to hopefully get one of the bullets to hit them in the face. Whereas, like, with the guardian and with the sheriff, you don't have a choice but to try to hit with the first bullet. But with the vandal, you have a choice to make. So you have to actively make the choice not to spray your weapon when you're using a vandal over, using a guardian. I'm not saying that, using a sheriff or a guardian is necessarily bad, like, if you want to do that, but like how it could possibly help you to use a gun like a vandal rather than a sheriff or a guardian, because you have to be aware that I need to not spray. I need to not panic and spray the person that I see in front of me. I need to make sure my crosshair is where it's supposed to be, take the shot, and then tap, instead of trying to drag my cursor near them and then pulling the trigger and then firing and then trying to hit them with one of the bullets that's coming out of the gun.
Imagine you're trying to stop snacking on potato chips. To do this, you decided that you need to remove the potato chips from your desk. So you put the chips away and everything is fine. But one day, you and your friends decide to start studying together, and he always brings some potato chips to share. What happens? Well, you'll probably end up eating the potato chips. But what if instead of removing the chips from your desk, you place the chips on the desk and train yourself to stop yourself every time you think about snacking on the chips? Then you'll probably tell your friend, "I'm good," and study without an issue. You see, using the sheriff or guardian is like removing the potato chips from your desk. It works when you don't have potato chips near you, but as soon as you see them, you're much more likely to snack. The sheriff and guardian force you to shoot one bullet at a time, so you never need to worry about spraying or even consider it. So you lose the hesitation, but at the same time, you aren't building discipline. And then when you use the vandal or phantom in ranked, you just spray away because you haven't actually.
But I'm only silver, so I can't think this way, right? Because I'm only silver.
Trained yourself to tap intentionally. And this doesn't just apply to spraying or first bullet accuracy, it applies to crouching, overheating, and a lot more. Once again, discipline isn't avoiding the temptation.
I would say that I have way more discipline than a lot of people at higher ranks. Maybe not, radiant, maybe not immortal, but I would say I have a lot more discipline than some of the people that come in my chat trying to tell me, what I'm supposed to do. I'm sure that there are a bunch of people that consistently crouch spray all the time and they can't stop themselves. I'm sure that there are people who spray a whole lot and they can't stop themselves. I literally use the vandal when I'm playing chamber. I use the vandal like it's a guardian. When I have TP down and you aim at head height and you see somebody come around a corner, I fire a bullet and teleport out. I don't spray and then teleport. I fire a bullet and then I teleport out. Whether that bullet hit them or not, You know, sometimes it hits them, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, I get a second chance at the gunfight. If I kill them, then I get, you know, I got my pick and I get another chance and I'm untraded, right? I'm untradeable. But if I miss the shot, I get a second chance. I can reposition to somewhere else. I pick up my TP, wait for it to cool down, maybe try to, like, you know, play a little bit more safe. And then once I have my TP back, put my TP back down and go back to being aggressive again and trying to get another pick. That's what I do. That's how I play Chamber. But, you know, a lot of people say Chamber is not good. Maybe it's the fact that Chamber it gives you discipline. So, like, since you don't have a whole lot of, like, utility to, like, throw at people and, like, stun people with, like, it gives you more discipline because you have to play in a specific way in order to get your kills.
But facing it and still being untempted. I think it goes without saying, but Deathmatch isn't completely realistic. Players
100%. Deathmatch is not completely realistic. Deathmatch will not set you up for, like, real situations all the time. It can force your muscle memory and force your reaction time to be better, because there are definitely times where, first of all, everybody's just running around, not shift walking. You don't have to worry about, like, most of the time not hearing people coming. People are not worried about, like, swinging angles. They're just running around corners. Like, they're not actually trying to practice the game. They're just trying to get as many kills. They're trying to win the deathmatch. I do try to win the deathmatch sometimes, but I don't try to win the deathmatch until I notice that I'm at, like, 35 kills or I'm at, like, 32 kills or something like that. Then I'm like, all right, let's see if I can try to win this. But most of the time, anytime before 30 kills, I'm practicing. I'm practicing trying to hold angles. I'm practicing trying to hit people as they're running around the corner, because I got to make the best of what I'm given in front of me. Trying to make sure my crosshair placement is right, you know, when I'm seeing people come around corners and different angles on the map and all that kind of stuff, right? That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to make the best of what it is. But you're sometimes you're just gonna get swung by two people from two different angles at the same time. Sometimes you're gonna kill somebody and you're gonna get traded. People in deathmatch trade the enemies better than they trade their teammates in games, bro. Like, they'll literally immediately after you kill somebody swings the corner and trades you, whether it be from a different angle, from literally where they came from. It's actually crazy. It's like, yo, if y'all was this good at trading people in the matches, y'all will be a problem. Everybody that plays deathmatch will be a problem. But they don't do deathmatch for that. They don't think about deathmatch that way. They're only thinking about, oh, this guy, he's using sound. This other dude shift walked and he killed me. If he wasn't shift walking, he wouldn't have killed me. Like, that's what y'all be worried about. Y'all need to change it. I'm glad that the high ranked players are saying stuff like this, because me saying it, nobody listening to me because, you know, I'm silver. But they just, I don't know, they just assume that other people are I don't know. Maybe it's just confirmation bias that people have. They they don't like when people shift walk and it feels unfair to them during the deathmatch. And then, yeah, it feels like unfair to them during the deathmatch for the people to be listening to sound and they're sitting there with their freaking sound off or blasting music in their headphones so they can't hear footsteps. It's like, what are you practicing for? Because you're not practicing Valorant. Like, what is the reason? What would be the reason that you would play without sound in the game, that you need to be able to use sound and recognize different materials that people are walking on, recognize different footsteps, recognize all these different things that give you this information so that you can approach gunfights better?
might move differently, peek in weird places, and there's also no abilities being used. But just because it's unrealistic to the actual game doesn't mean it's bad as a practice tool. Of course, that relies on you knowing what you want to practice first.
Exactly.
Entering a DM, most people just play some music and roam around and shoot things.
And that's their practice. They play music, like I just said, they have music blasting in their headphones, and they just walk around and just run around and just try to shoot stuff. They don't really care about having any type of awareness at all, because you can't have awareness if somebody's walking up on you and you can't see them. You're literally just looking for 1v1s, right, that are directly in front of you. You don't have any awareness or anything around you at all. I don't know if they think that, oh well, if I can't hear sound, then when I can hear sound, I'm gonna be a real problem. It's like, what is that? What is that logic? Like, you be paranoid. Like, and there's no way you can know where someone is coming from. People spawn in random places on the map. People will spawn. You'll kill someone and they'll literally spawn right directly behind you. And if they run up on you and you don't hear them, it's like, oh well, this person clearly is listening to music or having their sound off, because you're running at them behind them and they don't hear you. Then you just take out the knife and you just hit them in the back. And if for whatever reason, it's like, what purpose does that serve you?
There's no goal in mind, no objective other than to shoot some heads. So what do? Run around and shoot some heads. But what do they gain? Very little, if not nothing. There's a lot of factors that go into a strong peek, or solid crosshair placement, or good awareness and movement, as you guys may already know. It's very hard to practice all these things at once, and in ranked, your focus is on winning. Add on the fact that in a match, you'll have maybe 30 to 40 duels over a 45-minute period. It's very hard to practice effectively. Deathmatch is the solution to that. You can enter with the intention to practice something specific, like being aware of enemy locations or having strong crosshair placement, and you're also getting to see it in action against other players. Although it's not fully realistic, deathmatching lets you practice a specific skill as long as you have the intention to do so. But
Yes,
like I said earlier, you have to know what you want to practice. If you aren't aware of your goal, you're much less likely to achieve it. So enter each deathmatch with an idea of what you actually want to work on, and DMs will become a lot more productive.
But people won't do this, because that means they have to take accountability for them not winning the deathmatch, right? Them not doing well in deathmatch, because now they can't say, oh well, I can't hear anybody, so like sometimes, yeah, I'm gonna get shot in the back, instead of using their sound and then not understanding how they should approach this fight, because there's 2 people approaching them or 3 people approaching them, and like maybe how to have good crosshair placement, who's closer to you, based on what material they're walking on, how close the sounds, how close it sounds to you, and who you should be looking at first. Or whether maybe you think you can swing one of the people that is approaching you, kill them, and then hide behind cover and then swing the other person, maybe, or wait for them to swing you and kill them. Like, there's so many different ways that you could try to approach those gunfights, but people won't ever learn those ways to approach gunfights, especially not in DM, because they have their sound off, so they don't even have the information to be able to make those decisions.
So the last thing people often do wrong that I'll cover isn't something that's new or hard to figure out, which is playing for kills or the win. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fine to try to win a deathmatch or get as many kills as possible, but don't let it be your goal while playing a deathmatch. Remember, deathmatch is a tool for improvement and not a competitive game mode.
Like I said, I only will try to win the deathmatch after like 30 kills. Anything before 30 kills, I'm just working on whatever I need to work on. I'm just focusing on how I approach gunfights. I'm focusing on, strafing, shooting, maybe like trying to crouch bullets and all that kind of stuff, but not making things a habit, not making like bad habits, not using it to crouch spray every person all the time. Literally just trying to just work on things, work on being better, having better aim, better crosshair, whatever, like just better anything. And then 30 kills, 32 kills, I'm like, oh, I'm really close. Let me see if I can win. Like, even if I am in first place with like however many kills, I still don't care until I get to 30, because who knows? It's very random. People just spawn in random spots. People spawn behind the same people that just killed them. It would be better if they fix the spawns to make it a little more enjoyable experience. It's definitely a tool, but it can still be a little more enjoyable than it is because of how the spawns are. Like, if you spawn on one side of the map and you have a gunfight on one side of the map, like on A site or something like that. Say we're on Haven, right? And you die on C, they should just spawn your ass on A or on the furthest half of B, right? If you die on B, then they spawn you on C or A, right? Like they shouldn't spawn you super close to like the person that just killed you. Like it did, like that's too much information, right? Like the person who just won that gunfight doesn't have any information, and then the person has all the information from, oh, we just had a gunfight here. This person's probably still around. I know exactly where they probably are. I'm going to shoot them. That doesn't really help them. That doesn't help them at all. But whatever. Like that's besides the point actually, but like yeah, like you don't need to try to win the deathmatch. If you want to try to win the deathmatch, that's fine. Maybe you just want to turn your brain off for some DMs. But most of the time, if you're trying to improve while you're in a DM, putting your headphones on and not listening to sound and all that is not necessarily the way to do it.
Your purpose for playing is to practice different aspects of your mechanics or awareness, and not to win or get a good KD. When you play to win, your focus in the deathmatch is fundamentally off. But it's not so much to say that you can't win while DMing, but more to say that if you do try to win, you're more likely to create bad habits and fail to practice what you were trying to practice in the first place. If we think back about the guy who sits in a corner just camping sound for kills, this guy might have a nice KD or win a deathmatch here and there, but realistically, we all know he's not accomplishing much.
But you have to this is the one thing that he missed about people sitting in corners. I said it earlier in the video, but the thing about that he's missing there is that someone might not be sitting in that corner the whole game. Sometimes people are using sound, so it's like, what else do you expect him to be doing if you're running around the corner where he is? Should he swing you every single time you're running up on him, or is he going to just walk around the corner, hold the angle, and crouch sometimes to maybe throw off your crosshair placement and shoot you, right? And then you run into him again, he's around another corner, but the only reason why he's in these corners is because he keeps hearing people run up on him, so he just moves back into the corner, turns, and then waits. Like he's not necessarily sitting in the corner the entire time waiting for someone to walk by to kill him. That's not what is usually happening. It just feels like that because every time you're running around the corner, that guy is like, oh, here comes someone. They're just going to swing this angle without checking the corner. So why would I just give them a free gunfight? Maybe they'll learn to check their corners. Maybe they'll learn that shift walking is valuable. Maybe they'll learn something from me sitting in this corner and killing them. Because it's like, if I'm going to run around and they're going to run around, I can get the advantage on them by holding this angle. Because what's the difference between crouching in the corner and standing there waiting for somebody to swing the angle? Like it's no different. Like he would probably do the same thing in a game, like in a real match.
That's on the extreme side of playing to win. But at the same time, you don't want to just forget about kills completely because then you're just going in half-assed and maybe practicing badly. There's a balance between looking at your results, which are kills and wins, and focusing on your improvement. Of course, the balance leans more towards focusing on improvement, and the wins will come naturally. So in summary, deathmatching is a very useful tool for improving, but requires the right approach. More than anything else, having a clear goal and intention when practicing is what makes practice useful. It's not practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect. But
I like perfect is perfect is a word I don't really like to use when it entails like improvement, or like when you're talking about improvement. Practice makes perfect doesn't really apply to competitive games. I don't think saying practice makes perfect applies to competitive games, because you're never going to be perfect. Perfect would imply that you, I mean, some people think this way. Like I don't think that practice makes perfect is a literal, a literal meaning. I think it's a literal meaning for other things in life, like other things that you can, like say for instance, like making food, right? Like making certain recipes, or when you when you make something or you do something so often that's, you know, repeatable, then you can do it perfectly without, you know, messing it up. The more that you're able to do it. But in competitive games, um, you're never going to be perfect, because to be perfect would mean that you never mess up, you never make the wrong decision, you never miss a shot, every shot hits, and you never die by anybody else, right? And so like you would have to be the best, better than everyone else. And if you look at tens, right? Tens is amazing player, one of the best players. And then you got, like, I don't know, other players like Ye. I also heard is like a really good player. Like all these top players, they're all ridiculous at the games that they play, right? And in their own rights, but they're not perfect, and they'll never be perfect, because that means they would never lose ever, ever. But I'm sure that they have losses. They have times where they get shot and die. They have times where they make a decision and the decision was maybe not wrong, but they lost to the decision they made, right? Because maybe somebody else made a slightly better decision, right? But like the more you play, the more situations you have under your belt and all that kind of stuff, and the more you practice, it's more like practice makes improvement in competitive games. I think that's what, like, maybe people should coin that phrase in competitive games and improving in competitive things. Practice makes improvement, because if you don't practice, you won't improve. And practicing doesn't always necessarily have to mean you have to go into DM, you have to go into aim labs. But when you're playing your matches, you have to be able to fix your mistakes and realize what you're doing wrong, or realize what you got, like realize the things that you got punished for, and you fix those things. That's also kind of like practice. Like that's you fix the problems that you're having, and as you play more, you'll understand more, and you'll improve. So like practice makes improvement is the probably the best thing.
Do you know the secret to mastering DMing? How about you DM some bitches?